Beloved Leo, something powerful is about to happen, and it's not just another coincidence. If you're here today, it's because your soul has been drawn guided to this moment. August 4th is not an ordinary day. It is a divine appointment, a cosmic checkpoint, and what's coming is nothing short of a financial shock that may bring you to tears, but this time, they will be tears of joy. Let me ask you this: have you ever felt the universe whispering through your emotions before something big arrives? Maybe today, you felt unusually sensitive, maybe a little restless, or even unexpectedly hopeful. That's not random. That is the vibration of transformation building inside you. What's unfolding now is not an outcome of chance, but of alignment. This message is a signal encoded in energy, not words, a sacred echo returning to you because you are finally ready to receive what you've been spiritually maturing toward. You're not just here to hear good news. You're here because you have become magnetic to abundance through everything you've survived, forgiven, and grown beyond. So take a breath and pause for just a moment. Know this: your presence here matters. It is not something I take lightly. Every like you leave, every comment you share, every subscription to this space, each one is a thread that weaves our collective awakening. Your support isn't just appreciated, it's fuel. It's what helps bring transformational messages like this to those who need it. And trust me, Leo, you'll want to stay with me to the very end of today's video, because what the universe is revealing right now is nothing short of extraordinary. This isn't about wishful thinking or positive vibes only. This is about understanding that the energy you've built through years of inner work, silent giving, and relentless perseverance is beginning to ripple outward. And those ripples? They're coming back in the form of real, tangible, financial breakthroughs. Something that was blocked is now about to be released. Something that was owed is returning in full force. And what arrives on August 4th will not only shock you, it will soften you. It will remind you that the universe has always been listening. You were never overlooked. You were simply being prepared. So as we open this powerful reading, I ask you to ground into this moment, not from fear or doubt but with trust. With presence. With readiness. Because when you claim your place in the universe mirrors it back with generosity. And I invite you now to affirm your alignment by leaving a comment below. I am open to receive the financial breakthrough meant for me on August 4th. There's power in that declaration. It turns intention into invitation. It turns vibration into manifestation. Now, let's go deeper into what this energy means for your life, your destiny, and your ability to rise in ways even your past self never imagined. Stay with me, Leo. The truth is, what's coming for you is already on its way. What looks like chaos on the surface is often the divine rearranging everything on your behalf. Dear Leo, this part of your journey is not about punishment, loss, or instability. It's about an intentional redirection that shakes your inner ground only to anchor you more deeply into your own power. When the tower appears in tarot, it is not a symbol of disaster, it is the crumbling of illusions, of outdated structures, of things you once called security, but which no longer served your expansion. And when the Ace of Pentacles joins it, that collapse is immediately followed by an Afaringus seed of real, rooted abundance, placed directly into your palm by life itself. This is a shift from false certainty to authentic wealth, both material and energetic. On August 4th, what seems accidental may be precisely calculated. A mistake by someone else could land in your favor. A payment you thought was forgotten suddenly arrives. An old bond returns not with demands but with a gift. This is not coincidence, it is karma moving. Not the kind that punishes, but the kind that remembers. The kind that whispers, everything you gave without applause is now circling back with quiet precision. From a cosmic perspective, this moment acts as a mirror. The external shift is simply echoing a deeper internal breakthrough you may not have noticed yet. You've let go of something recently, a need to control, a belief that you must struggle, an attachment to a version of yourself that was always proving. And in letting go, you've unknowingly created the exact energetic space required for something better to enter. This is the nature of flow. When grasping ends, receiving begins. In teachings of stillness, it is often said that true fortune does not arrive through effort alone, but through presence. Presence allows you to see the gift where others only see ruin. When something breaks, there is more light. When something disappears, a new path reveals itself. It is only through non-resistance that the deeper treasures of life become visible. That is what this part of your August story is offering you. So instead of reacting with fear to the unexpected, consider pausing and asking yourself, what belief just cracked open? What truth is rising in its place? You might find that the gift isn't only the money or opportunity, but a newfound sense of trust. A sacred confirmation that you are not being overlooked by life but closely, carefully, and lovingly watched over. Let the tower remind you that you are not your circumstances. Let the Ace of Pentacles remind you that no matter how the ground shifts, there is always something solid growing beneath your feet. And let this moment remind you that the universe isn't testing your strength, it is revealing it to you. This is the kind of transformation that doesn't demand that you push harder, it asks you to feel more fully. To be awake, aware, and willing to receive without needing to explain why you're finally worthy. You're worthy because you're here. You're worthy because you stayed. And what is about to arrive may shake you, but only to awaken you to how deeply blessed you truly are. When we speak of attracting abundance rather than chasing it, we're not speaking in metaphors, we're speaking in the language of universal law. Leo, you are entering a space in time where what arrives to you is no longer the result of strain or force, but the reflection of the frequency you now embody. August 4th marks a quiet revolution within your energetic field, the day you stop chasing and start receiving, not because you gave up, but because you finally aligned. In the past, you may have clutched at money the way someone gasping for air clutches at the surface. You may have believed, as many do, that safety comes from holding tightly to whatever you can, from saving in fear rather than investing in trust. But the truth is, money, like energy, is fluid. It resists being held in fear. It disappears through clenched fists and expands only in open hands. That's why when you needed money the most, it seemed to elude you. Because need is not the same as readiness. And urgency is not the same as worth. What has changed now isn't the economy. It's your inner economy. Through your experiences, especially the ones that required you to release control, practice gratitude and uncertainty, and stay generous even when no one was watching, you have shifted the very soil you grow your abundance from. The universe does not respond to panic. It responds to resonance. And right now, you are resonating at the frequency of enough. This is why the financial opening on August 4th is not a gift you must earn, but a mirror showing you what you've already become. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's the culmination of hundreds of small choices when you said no to scarcity thinking, when you stopped defining your value by productivity, when you chose to rest instead of hustle. All of those moments were recalibrations. Subtle, invisible, but powerful. The number 48 carries the vibration of a cycle ending and another beginning. 4 brings structure, stability, and inner integrity. 8 holds the energy of power, prosperity, and karmic return. Together, they signify a moment of financial expansion that comes only when the old limitations have fallen away. This isn't about making more. It's about opening to more by releasing what made you feel small. If you want to honor this turning point, don't just take action out of impulse. Take conscious, sacred action. Consider setting aside exactly 8% of whatever financial gift shows up, whether it's a check, a refund, a contract, or even a saved expense. Use that 8% not for survival, but for growth. Let it symbolize your belief in longevity, in your right to flourish not someday, but now. And if you want to go deeper, write down your own definition of financial freedom. Not someone else's. Yours. What does wealth mean to you when you remove the noise, the pressure, the comparison? Is it the ability to choose how you spend your time? Is it being able to give without fear? Is it sleeping peacefully knowing you are supported? Let that vision guide your next decision. There is a teaching that says freedom is not having more, it's needing less, fearing less, clinging less. What's happening on August 4th is not the universe finally giving you a break. It's the universe reflecting who you've become, a person who no longer believes in desperation, but who quietly knows their value, and moves accordingly. That quiet knowing is wealth. And now, so is your reality. When your energy is in harmony, you no longer have to chase anything, especially not love. You become the invitation, not the seeker. Leo, you're ruled by the sun, the source of light itself. And just like the sun, your job has never been to beg for attention. Your only responsibility is to shine authentically. This section of your journey isn't about romantic pursuit or emotional validation. It's about remembering that true magnetism begins when your inner life is rooted in truth, not performance. There's a quiet power that radiates from someone who has stopped trying to impress and has started simply being. And that is what is being cultivated within you now. The person who is grounded, grateful, and present in their own growth doesn't have to announce that their presence speaks it. That's why connections are shifting around you. That's why people you thought were gone are resurfacing, not to fill a void, but because they recognize your wholeness. You become the lighthouse, not the lifeboat. When the Queen of Wands appears in a reading, she symbolizes someone who is emotionally sovereign, someone who knows how to hold themselves through the highs and lows without closing off. Paired with the 10 of Cups, it suggests that you are reaching an emotional maturity where connection is no longer a need, but a gift freely exchanged. You are not seeking someone to complete you. You are inviting in what complements your growth, and letting go of what dims your spirit. This energy may manifest as a reconnection not for the sake of nostalgia, but because something karmic is ready to close with grace. It may come as a new encounter, one that feels like breathing after holding your breath. Or perhaps, most profoundly, it will show up as a deep internal conversation, the kind where you forgive not because they asked, but because you're no longer willing to carry what isn't yours. In practices of mindfulness, it is said that when the mind is quiet, the heart becomes audible. And when the heart is audible, you don't have to speak much to be understood. Your relationships begin to evolve with less effort and more alignment. People meet you where you are, or they gently fall away. That's not loss. That's spaciousness. That's how the soul makes room for love that's real. If you've felt alone in your path lately, know that this space wasn't a punishment, it was a purification. Loneliness often arrives just before clarity. It's a signal that you've outgrown a former version of intimacy. What returns to you now, whether in the form of people, invitations, or quiet affirmations from the universe, is responding to your new frequency. You no longer attract what echoes your wounds. You draw in what respects your healing. So take a moment to breathe into your own presence. Ask yourself, what does love feel like when it's no longer based on proving, pleasing, or performing? Let that answer guide how you show up in your next conversation, your next silence, your next shared moment. You don't have to force connection anymore. You are the connection. There is an ancient teaching that says love is not a possession, it is a mirror. And the clearer you become, the more love reflects itself back to you. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose yourself so clearly that the right people can finally see you. Let that be your quiet affirmation moving forward. I do not chase love. I am love, and what is meant for me now rises to meet me. Sometimes abundance doesn't arrive with fanfare, but with fatigue. It's a quiet truth that most people overlook. When your external reality shifts rapidly, especially in the direction of financial gain, your physical body must recalibrate to match the new vibration. For Leo, a fire sign so attuned to action and momentum, this adjustment may feel unsettling. You might sense a heaviness in your chest, restlessness at night, or inexplicable waves of emotion coursing through you. These aren't signs that something is wrong. Quite the opposite, a theory signals that something is moving through you, not just around you. Energy is never separate from matter. The body is the densest expression of your energy field, and when your field accelerates, when the frequency of wealth, success, or visibility suddenly intensifies, your body reacts as if weathering a storm. It tries to hold the new current without short-circuiting your inner systems. That's why sudden wealth or recognition often comes with moments of fatigue, tension, or even illness, not as punishment, but as a realignment process. Your nervous system is learning how to feel safe in a new level of receiving. This is why tending to your body is not separate from your abundance journey, it's a sacred part of it. Just as the earth must be prepared before seeds can sprout, your body must be supported before your external life can truly flourish. And not through force, but through listening. Through reverence. Through presence. If you're feeling off right now, give yourself permission to slow down. Not because you're weak, but because your system is wise. It knows what needs to be released in order for you to hold more of what's already arriving. Warm water with lemon for 3 days isn't just a wellness tip, it's a ritual of purification. It signals to your cells that you're making space. That you are ready to flow rather than grip. That you are choosing to nourish rather than deplete. Walking barefoot on the earth even for just 5 minutes is more than grounding. It's a return. A reminder to your body that you are part of something much older, much steadier than whatever pressure you've internalized. In teachings of insight, it is said that peace is not something you earn, it is something you allow by releasing what resists it. Your body doesn't need to be pushed through success. It needs to be trusted within it. The colors golden brown and pearl white are not random. Golden brown speaks to the stability of Rutsof being anchored in your truth no matter what moves above the surface. Pearl white is the soft glow of purity, of divine neutrality, of remembering your worth without needing to shout it. Together, they invite your body to feel both protected and radiant. And so the question becomes, how are you honoring your body in this transition? Are you drinking enough water, resting when called, allowing joy to be part of your days, not just productivity? The more you embrace the wisdom of your body, the more gracefully you will rise into your next season. Let this be your quiet mantra, whispered into the softness of your day. My body welcomes this new flow with steadiness and gratitude. You don't need to do more to keep what's yours. You only need to become the space that can hold it. Not in fear but in calm, grounded, embodied presence. That, dear Leo, is how abundance roots itself not just around you, but within you. The moment something arrives in your life, be it money, recognition, or opportunity, it's natural to want to celebrate. But Leo, today's arrival is not a trophy. It's a threshold. What's showing up on August 4th isn't a lucky break or a cosmic exception, it's the next assignment. A new invitation. Not to work harder, but to rise into greater responsibility with grace, clarity, and unwavering self-trust. When we speak of abundance as a reward, we misunderstand its nature. True abundance is not something handed to you, it's something revealed through you. The transformation has already happened within. What you're witnessing now is its outer echo. You were not chosen because you proved your worth. You were chosen because you stayed aligned even when no one was watching. You acted from principle when applause was absent. You kept your heart soft even when it was easier to shut it down. That is what prepared you not to have more, but to hold more. The presence of judgment and the King of Wands in this reading is no coincidence. Judgment marks the moment when the past is not forgotten, but honored and released. It's a call to rise, not just in circumstance but in consciousness. And the King of Wands brings the message of mature leadership, not leadership over others, but mastery over self. Together, they ask, are you ready to claim your role as the steward of what you've long prayed for? This isn't the time to look around and compare your harvest to someone else's. It's the time to look within and ask what seed you're meant to plant with this wealth, because yes, Leo, what you're receiving is wealth. But wealth is not just currency. It's attention. It's time. It's influence. It's the power to choose how you move, where you give, and what legacy you leave behind in every small decision. And so I ask you, gently but clearly, to pause. Not in hesitation, but in reverence. Write down 4 truths. Begin with this: what makes me feel truly rich without needing a cent? Is it time with your children? Creative freedom? A morning without anxiety? This is the root of your real wealth, and any money that comes now is meant to support it, not replace it. Next, consider where your money wants to go. Not just for bills and survival, but where it can become service. What community could it uplift? What idea could it nourish? What future could it build? Then ask yourself what you can give each month without shrinking. What act of generosity expands you rather than empties you? Generosity that flows from overflow is a sign of alignment, not sacrifice. And finally, reflect on who helped you get here, not just the obvious allies, but the ones who taught you through contrast. Sometimes the people who withheld love, withheld truth, or withheld opportunity were the very ones who shaped your discernment. You don't have to thank them out loud. Just carry the awareness that every person played a role. And that you, dear Leo, played yours with honor. There's a quiet teaching that reminds us, when the fruit ripens, it doesn't ask if it deserves to fall. It simply lets go. You've ripened. And this financial opening is your signal to drop the old story of waiting, hoping, or proving and to simply begin. You're not here to be granted permission. You're here because you are the permission. And now, the path opens before you, not because it finally arrived, but because you did. If you find yourself wiping away a tear on August 4th, let it be a sacred tear, not one of loss or fear, but of deep remembrance. Remembrance of who you are beneath all the striving. Remembrance of the quiet moments where you held space for others without being held yourself. Remembrance of the silent hopes you've tucked into corners of your heart, waiting for the right time to bloom. And now is that time. Not because the stars aligned by luck, but because you aligned with your worth, your energy, your truth. You're not crying because something has been taken. You're crying because, for the first time in a long time, something finally arrived, and it came not because you fought harder, but because you softened. Because you stopped begging the world to see you, and instead began seeing yourself. That is why this moment is different. This isn't the universe giving you a handout. This is the universe mirroring back the frequency you've been quietly, consistently cultivating. You didn't earn it through pain. You attracted it through presence. So take a breath with me now. Place your hand over your heart. And whisper not to the world, but to yourself, I am enough. I am ready. I receive this with open hands and a steady soul. This is no longer the chapter where you wait, ache, or apologize. This is where you begin leading your life from the inside out. And that leadership? It starts with how you treat yourself when no one's looking. With how you honor the abundance not just in your bank account, but in your breath, your time, your voice. Let what happened today be your anchor. Let it be the moment you stopped surviving and began expanding. Let it be the day you chose not just to receive more but to be more of who you already are. You've done the hard part. You've cleared space, faced shadows, and stayed kind when it would have been easier to shut down. Now, this breakthrough isn't a reward. It's recognition. As we come to the close of this reading, I want to gently invite you to reflect. What would your life feel like if you stopped preparing for the worst and started expecting the best? Who would you become if you no longer second-guessed the things that come easily? What might open if you finally allowed yourself to feel joy without guilt? If this message has touched you, if you felt even one sentence land in your body like truth, then I invite you to claim it with your voice. Leave a comment below and affirm, I have received my financial awakening on August 4th. Because when you speak it, you solidify it. When you share it, you echo it across the energetic field. You remind others of what's possible when we no longer shrink to be safe. Thank you from the depth of my soul for spending this time with me. Every like you click, every comment you leave, every moment you choose to subscribe and journey deeper into this space, each one is felt. You are part of something sacred here. This is not just a channel. This is a remembering. A reawakening. A return. And I promise, from my heart to yours, eternal mindfulness will continue to hold this space as long as you need it. Stay close. There is so much more waiting for you.